He was the most towering presence in heavyweight boxing. It paid not to get in his way, because at 198 centimeters and over 110 kilograms, Ukraine champion Vladimir Klitschko certainly packed a punch. This is perfection, the most inspired moments in sport. They say Father Time loses to no one, and over 12 stellar years, Vladimir Klitschko shaped up well. In terms of sportsmen with a story, you won't find too many more interesting than former heavyweight boxing champion Vladimir Klitschko. The son of a Soviet Air Force general, Vladimir has a PhD in sports science, is an avid chess player and humanitarian. He speaks 4 languages, and his fiancée is a US television actress. And boxing runs in the family. His older brother Vitaly, a former heavyweight champ himself, is the mayor of the Ukraine capital, Kiev. Vladimir Klitschko rose to prominence with a super heavyweight gold medal at the Atlanta Olympics. And from there, he racked up 69 wins, and 53 of those by knockout. As he prepared for a 2014 bout with Australian challenger Alex Leapai, Klitschko was upbeat about his future in the ring.
I just celebrated my 38th birthday, and I feel about my age great. I'm thankful to the Mother Nature, to my father and mother that genetically and mentally they raised me as a good kid.
His fight with Leapai ended in the 5th round with a TKO win, taking his record to 62-3. That 3rd loss was all the way back in 2004, when American Lamont Brewster won by TKO in 5 to win the vacant WBO title. And since that day, Klitschko was a dominant force on the heavyweight scene. When he won the IBF title by defeating Chris Bird by TKO in Germany in 2006, there were 4 separate heavyweight champions in the IBF, WBA, WBO, and WBC. By 2011, he and older brother Vitaly would share in a unique piece of boxing history. Up next, the Klitschkos clean up. Before a career in politics became his priority, Vladimir's older brother by 4 years, Vitaly, was also a boxing world champion. Vitaly amassed a 45-2 record between 2006 and 2012 and retained the WBC heavyweight crown 9 times before leaving the sport for good in December 2013. It was the wish of their mother that her boys never fought each other, and both were true to that request.
Not long time.
The civil unrest in his homeland, coupled with his brother's move up the political totem pole in Ukraine, was a source of heartache for Vladimir Klitschko. It very much put in perspective his million-dollar life inside the ring, as opposed to the struggles the people of his country have experienced as they push for democracy, with his brother Vitaly at the forefront.
In boxing, you could get black eye or bloody nose. In the politics, you can get dioxin in the food or bullet in the head. So it's much more tougher than anything that Vitaly could choose in his life. And I was against that and against Vitaly's going to the politics. But on the other hand, I know that makes him feel good.
And even as he prepared for that bout with Leapai, You got the indication his preparation wasn't always focused entirely on the opponent.
You know, my mind is over there, my body's here, in another way to say. But everything was going on in Ukraine. War is a lot. There are humans' lives on the line.
The official wave.
But perhaps it's those traits of mental toughness instilled in him by his parents that were the key to his success. Ever since that IBF win that included the vacant IBO title, Klitschko began picking off the other championship belts as well. In February 2008 in New York, he won the WBO title from Russian Sultan Ibragimov in a unanimous decision. 2 more wins over American Eddie Chambers and then Nigeria's Samuel Peter set up a title shot against Brit David Haye for the WBA super heavyweight crown in July 2011. The bout had been a long time coming.
And I've declared war on the Klitschko family.
For 2 years, Haye had been calling out the Klitschko brothers and insulted them by wearing a t-shirt that depicted him holding the severed heads of the brothers.
Now, I know what Vladimir is about. I've seen him fight dozens of times, and I'm not impressed.
The Klitschkos were furious and lining up to fight Haye. Finally, it would be Vladimir who got his wish in a heavyweight unification fight. Haye said Klitschko was a robot and would malfunction on fight night. And not surprisingly, there was a scuffle at a pre-fight press conference. Vladimir was the dominant fighter on the night, working his jab with precision, only unleashing his huge right on occasion, winning all but 2 rounds, the 3rd and the 12th. In the end, it was Klitschko by unanimous decision, his 56th professional win, and was magnanimous in victory.
You got balls, and you know, you moved up to heavyweight and you challenged me. So after 2 years of talk and after 2 years of all this hot air that has been blowed back and forth, eventually we fought, and I think it's fantastic. It's great for boxing.
With that win, the fact Vitali had the WBC title, the Klitschko brothers owned every major heavyweight belt on offer. Boxing hasn't had an undisputed heavyweight champion since Mike Tyson. But Vladimir never got his shot at the WBC crown. A win alongside his other belts would have seen him become the first man in boxing history to own all 4 major sanctioning organizations' world titles. Father Time may have beaten him to the punch, but Dr. Steelhammer is one of the great heavyweight fighters of all time.
Go.
Winning any major international competition is hard enough, but they say repeating as champion is one of the toughest things in sports. Blanka Vlašić is one single-minded athlete. Admittedly stubborn as a kid with a fierce competitive drive, Vlašić said she didn't like team sports. I like to work alone. When I make a mistake, I make it on my own. And when I win, it's all mine. She may have got that attitude from her father and coach Josko, a national decathlon record holder. And ever since, the high jump has become the Croatians' passion.
I decided to dedicate my life to this, so it's not going to be a long career like in some other jobs. So I need to be focused, because you cannot be one of the best in the world by accident. It just doesn't happen.
Vlašić grew up in picturesque Split on the Dalmatian coast, also home to tennis stars Goran Ivanisevic and Mario Ancic, a proud sporting city that cherishes its homegrown talent. By 17, she'd represented her country at the Olympics in Sydney 2000, already cleared 1.93 meters and won the Junior World Championship. She added another World Junior title in 2002, winning by a whopping 9 centimeters with a 1.96, becoming the first junior high jumper to defend their title. A Croatian record, 2.03, set her up for Athens, but feeling lethargic with a best of 189, She was later diagnosed with a hyperthyroid condition and missed most of the 2005 season. Vlašić did return for the World Championships, but missed the final.
I always was thinking that I want to leave a mark in athletic world, in high jump world, so people can remember me not only by winning one competition or jumping one high result, but to be there, to be 10 years in a row. Really, this grip that I get from
Progression, both in terms of health and results, were the keys of 2006. But a year later, Vlašić started an incredible run of success that saw her dominate the sport for the best part of 5 years. En route to the Osaka World Championships, she was in great form. A 2:05 national record in Madrid, a 2:03 win in Monaco, a 2:06 national record in Greece, then yet another personal best 2:07 in Oslo. The world record 2 meters 09, set in 1987 by Bulgaria's Stefka Kostadinova, was in her sights. She won the world title with a jump of 2:05 and finished the season winning 17 of the 18 competitions she entered, just missing a share of the $1 million Golden League jackpot. For the Olympics, Vlašić was the hot favorite, and after winning the world indoor title in Valencia, it marked her 22nd straight victory, the longest streak in the sport's history. She would extend that to an unthinkable 34 straight wins by the Beijing Games. And while Vlašić and Belgium's Tia Hellebo each cleared 2:05, the Belgian took gold on a countback with fewer attempts. That tough luck would continue at the Golden League finale, with Vlašić one of 2 athletes left in contention for the jackpot, and again lost on a countback to German Ariane Friedrich, costing her a cool $500,000. A fresh rivalry had begun. Their matchup at the 2009 World Championship in Berlin was highly anticipated, and there was drama. On the morning of qualifying, Vlašić needed 6 stitches for a head gash after a freak accident training in her hotel hallway. She still made the final, and it was Vlašić, Friedrich, and the 2007 World Championship silver medalist, Anna Chichirova, vying for the medals. The Russian was first over 2:02. Then Vlašić upped the ante as the first to clear 2:04. The pressure and height proved too much. First for Chichirova, then Friedrich, who went all in, raising the bar to 2:06 for the win, but failed, finishing with the bronze. And so Vlašić had become just the second woman to go back-to-back as high jump world champion. She would add another indoor world title in 2010 and claimed bronze at the 2016 Rio Olympics after recovering from a chronic leg injury. Vlašić owns the second best female high jump in history, a 2:08, set just weeks after her 2009 world title, and still has hopes of catching Kostadinova. Still to come, baseball's home run king. He polarized the biggest sports market in the world. But one thing Barry Bonds did do was hit the baseball a long way. For 22 seasons in the majors, Barry Bonds was the talk of the town. He hit home runs for a living. After being selected by the Pittsburgh Pirates with the 6th overall pick in the 1985 draft, Bonds amassed an array of records unlikely to be rivaled. While today it is widely considered that great pitching wins world championships, the home run remains the hallmark of the game. And no one was better than Bonds, who signed with San Francisco in 1993. Baseball's magic number was always 755. The record number of homers hit by the great Henry Hank Aaron, Hammering Hank. Aaron compiled 23 seasons and numerous records during a stellar career. He made his debut with Milwaukee on April 13, 1954, and 20 years later, Aaron surpassed the legendary Babe Ruth's record of 714 home runs. Aaron would go on to hit 755. Almost yearly, Bonds reached a new milestone en route to baseball's holy grail. In 2001, he set the single-season home run record with 73. In 2002, he hit his 600th homer. A year later, he became the only player with 500 homers and 500 stolen bases, then blasted home run number 700. In 2004, he accomplished the rare feat of more home runs, 45, than strikeouts, 41, as he won his 4th straight MVP and 7th overall, 4 more than any other player. By 2006, the American sports public was getting excited. The record was within reach, first getting past Ruth to move into second all-time. But through much of the decade, debate raged as to whether Bonds had taken performance-enhancing drugs. Was the record tainted? He never tested positive for steroids, but in 2011 was convicted of lying under oath to a grand jury, escaping jail time. And so it was August 7, 2007, that Bonds stepped up to the plate against Mike Bassick of the Washington Nationals.
3-2 again to Bonds. Swung on, hit deep to right center field. Way back goes Kearns. He's at the wall, and it is gone! Goodbye! That's the one! Home run number 756.
This record is not tainted at all. At all. Period. You guys can say whatever you want.
Nice heart-to-heart with him.
At 43, that would be Bonds' last season, ending his career as the all-time leader in home runs, homers in a single season, walks and intentional walks in a season, and MVP awards. He is also one of just 4 players in history to hit 40 home runs and steal 40 bases in a season. After the record, the Giants manager felt it was time to remember the great times.
You know, I think it's time to move on, forget about whatever you think. The fact of the matter is, that's a lot of home run.
In an era of new technology and advancing sports science, athletic world records don't last long, but one milestone has stood the test of time. There is no more torturous athletic event than the marathon, a punishing 42 kilometers that is a serious test of one's physical and mental conditioning. Britain's Paula Radcliffe had running in her blood. Her father was a keen amateur marathon runner, and when he took a 10-year-old Paula to watch Ingrid Christensen win the London Marathon, she was hooked. 19 years later, Radcliffe ran her debut marathon in London and won it. As a kid, Radcliffe loved long-distance running, and her enormous talent was soon obvious to all, excelling in cross-country, 5,000 and 10,000 meter events. In 1996, at 22, she made the first of her 4 Olympic teams, finishing 5th in the 5,000. But the marathon was her calling, and she would become the best in the world. Her time in that debut London Marathon was a world's best for a women's-only race, in 2 hours 18.56, second best all time behind Kenya's Catherine Enderiba's 2:18.47. 6 months later, Radcliffe shattered that world mark by 90 seconds in Chicago and was awarded an MBE for her achievements. But within a 2-month window in 2003, Radcliffe had her finest moments. In February, she set the world record for the 10K road race in Puerto Rico, a blistering 30 minutes 21 seconds, a perfect warm-up for the London Marathon. Radcliffe was in the form of her life, but her performance in the British capital would be compared with the impact of Bob Beeman's historic long jump in 1968. Radcliffe's early speed was so fast, her agents said, that's suicide pace. There were fears she would blow out, but Radcliffe kept pushing and had run the first 41 kilometers in lightning speed. With 800 meters left, Radcliffe calculated she could get under 2:16 if she finished in less than 3 minutes. Despite near exhaustion and cramp, she willed herself to the line in world record time, 2 hours, 15.25 seconds. The sports world was in awe. Race director and former 10,000 meters world record holder David Bedford claimed it was the greatest distance running performance I have seen in my lifetime. Controversially, in 2011, the IAAF tried to annul women's world records set when the men had taken part, but that motion was rescinded.
It just kind of felt that a little bit of my achievements that day and how hard I worked for it were just being devalued, but not just for me, I think for women all over. I mean, it's a little bit harsh because it really limits options for setting world records because the majority of road races are mixed.
In 2005, her domination continued, first with the world best time for a women's only race, clocking 2:17.32 at London, then won her only gold medal at a major championship, with a world title in Helsinki, in a championship record 2 hours 20:57. The Olympics were not kind to Paula Radcliffe, failing to win a medal, injury and illness crueling her chances. In the lead up to London 2012, she had one last shot at gold.
For me, it's the one thing that's missing from my career, and I don't think that my whole life will be defined because or because not of that moment, but at the same time it's something that's very, very important to me, and I just want the chance to be able to prepare healthily and go out and give it my best shot.
While injury would force her to miss the games on home soil, her legacy is intact. A trailblazer and record setter in the toughest event of them all. After the break, cricket's all-time greatest. In any sport, there are standouts, but Don Bradman dominated cricket unlike anyone in the history of the game. From the late 1920s to post-war, Don Bradman from country New South Wales in Australia was a phenomenon. No one amassed so many runs so quickly as the Don. In a different time, when overseas travel was by ship and international matches infrequent. In 20 years of representing Australia, Bradman managed just 52 games and batted 80 times. And while his total runs scored won't set any records, his average of 99.94 runs scored per innings batted is in itself cricketing folklore. Consider the top test match averages today hover in the high 50s, and the one man most often compared to Bradman, Indian great Sachin Tendulkar, who finished his career in 2013, averaged 52.78. Bradman was in a league of his own. His most frequent opponent was the old enemy, the mother country England, and he was gentle on them compared to India and South Africa. It was the Australians' tour of England in 1930 that Bradman was at his unstoppable best. In the 5-match series, Bradman blasted a record 974 runs. That included scores of 131, 254, his highest score of 334, and then 232 in the final match in London.
I've never started out to break any records. I've always tried to do the best I can for the team that I'm playing for. And if in getting those runs I should happen to break any record, well, naturally, I'm very pleased, but I do not deliberately set out to try and break records.
So prolific were Bradman's exploits that on the next tour of England in 1932, the home team devised a plan called Bodyline, a barrage of short-pitched bowling aimed at curtailing his incredible strike rate. And he still averaged 56. In those 80 test innings, Bradman reached the magical 100 runs 29 times. It took Tendulkar 148 innings to match it. No one has more than Bradman's 12 double hundreds, while his 2 triple centuries is still a joint record. In his final match in 1948, back in London, Bradman needed just 4 runs or remain not out to achieve a career average of 100, but failed to score for just the 7th time in his career, and so was stuck on 99.94, cricket's most iconic number. Sir Don Bradman, a hero to a nation and a sports legend, revered and always remembered.